Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to keep it positive, we're going to make this a little bit of a drinking game. So anytime we say anything negative at all, you're going to hear this sound. That sound means that we are taking a drink, and we hope you at home drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass as we boldly step into the unknown.
Hey.
Ooh.
Oh, here we go.
All right, friends, it's going to be a little bit of a mini episode, all right?
It was a very big shot.
Jesus Christ. Guys, this is going to be a
Beer chaser.
Oh, Jesus.
So we sort of have one announcement that's sort of a two announcements to make, which is we're changing up our format. So some of our friends that we've been talking about movies with, it's been great, but we are going to tease two different new formats for you right now, this very second. And so this is sort of like a little test run, also to keep our episode count going, because we really want to hit, guys, as of right, I want to tease this, all right? As of right now, our 200th episode is the weekends that Oppenheimer and Barbie come out. I'm going to say that again. The weekend Oppenheimer and Barbie come out, that's our 200th episode. So if we took this week off, we would not have that be the case. So we got to get this mini episode in. But also, we wanted to, you guys both saw Fast X.
The lengths we go to make Barbie the 200th episode.
So you're going to talk about Fast X, and we're going to premiere two new formats. Guys, are you ready for me to do them both right now?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
So moving forward, the general new format is going to be this. A little bit of news at the beginning, like we've been doing, but we're going to tighten it up. For those of you who've been listening to us, you know, it can take us 15 minutes to get into the movie because we just love drinking and talking sometimes, which I don't think is a problem. But we are going to essentially feature two different elements of our movie discussion. We're going to have a mini review, which again, our Fast X one is going to be today, since I didn't see it, and I shamelessly didn't see it. I was very busy, and I'm happy to hear you guys talk about it. But also, we'll be able to keep it short and tight. So if there's a huge movie like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we don't need to talk about it for an hour. Everybody in the world is talking about it. You don't necessarily need our take, so we could just tell you what we think, and then we can spend our more long form conversation about a movie that, you know, we love doing the indie movies. Like we saw Everything Everywhere All at Once the weekend it came out in New York and LA, and it was really cool to kind of be in the forefront of this, you know, thing that took off. Or even movies like we saw last year, like Mrs. Harris Go to Paris and The Phantom of the Open and The Menu and The Black Phone and all these movies that were out, but we were really happy to have that be our featured conversation. So those are going to be our more opened up conversations. So that's going to be moving forward. Having said that, for the next couple weeks, we are going to be doing a summer movie.
Couple of weeks.
The next fucking summer,
for
baby.
the entire summer.
Now, we really want everybody to be a part of this, because I think one of the things that really got us going as a podcast was the franchise face-off, where during COVID we watched so many fucking movies, you guys, and people would be like, why didn't you put Bond on the list? And we were like, because we can't watch any more movies.
Can't watch 28 fucking movies.
Every week during COVID for like 12 weeks, we had two franchises up against each other. Our favorite was John Wick against Toy Story. So we said, which one's better? Which one's better? And I don't know. I watched 3.5 John Wicks and 3 Toy Stories that week just to get, like, I literally watched like 7 movies just for the fucking podcast that week so that we could talk about these franchises. So we're not going to do that per se. What we are going to do is we're going to take the highest grossing summer movies of every single year from 1980, I'll circle back to that, until 2020, basically.
2019, when there was there was no summer blockbuster series in 2020.
Correct.
That is the cutoff.
The summer blockbuster series was your kitchen fucking wall in 2020.
So from 1980 to 2019, we are going to take each decade and we are going to have a little bit of a battle royale. You'll see this next week. We're going to take 4 movies and narrow it down to 2 from the early 1980s. We are going to have all of these movies, and whatever winners advance. So we're probably going to have 4 or 5 movies from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. So somewhere in the ballpark of like 20 movies, and we are going to have them fucking fight each other to the death on our podcast to see what is the greatest, highest grossing summer blockbuster of all time.
Or as what happened last time, we're going to fight each other to the death.
Which might happen. So anyway, we would love for you all to be... I got told to go
fuck myself so many times.
Yeah, play along.
Should I say what the bracket is for next week? Because we're going to record this now, but should I tease people as to like what to expect?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, just to give them just kind of tell them specifically.
Let them know what sort of chunk we've bit off for ourselves here.
So we're going to start with the early 80s. We're going to start with 1980, which is, of course, The Empire Strikes
We're going to go
Back.
in order. Let's just be honest about it. So you can play along chronologically every week and watch the movies in order, starting from 1980. And we're going to include some of the late 70s movies too, later in the later rounds.
Yes.
Of course, this all began with Jaws. That's how this discussion began. But yes. So what are we doing next week?
So next week is going to be 1980 against 1981, which is, of course, The Empire Strikes Back against Raiders of the Lost Ark. We are
What the fuck
starting
are we doing?
hot. And then 82.
Two movies you've never heard of.
82 is E.T., 83 is Return of the Jedi. So that is our first week. We are going to battle it out. Only 2 of those 4 movies can advance. We are very excited about it. And then we're going to keep going down the list. 85 to 88, and then 89 to 92. And we have retroactively decided to advance. It's not retroactively. You fucking, my English teachers can fuck themselves. We decided to move.
They're great.
We've advanced.
God bless the teachers.
Jaws and Star Wars 1 have advanced. Jaws and Star Wars 1, because they really did define the summer blockbuster, except there are some fantastic movies from the late 70s. Since Jaws is the first blockbuster, and Spielberg pretends like it wasn't, because he was like, Lawrence of Arabia. And I was like, no, Lawrence of Arabia was not on 1,000 screens at the same time. It just happened to play for a year all over the place. Yeah, but no. Jaws was the first one to play on like 400 screens at the same time, which was wild. The Omen was 76. Grease was 78. And fucking Alien was 79. But we decided to advance Jaws and Star Wars. And this is, again, just to be clear, one last time, the highest grossing summer movies. Avatar was not a summer movie, so that doesn't count.
Yeah. Summer, we're defining summer as May through August.
Summer movies, the highest grossing one of each year, and we're going to have them battle it out. And if people had bad taste one year, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
Anything I missed,
through September-ish. Yeah, through September-ish, because usually it's Labor Day, right? Like we'll kind of ish Memorial Day to ish Labor Day, around that window.
And just to be clear, since I'm doing the research on this already, none of these movies came out in September, because it's a terrible fucking time to drop a movie when everybody goes back to work and all the kids go back to school.
Yeah.
Nobody does shit on Labor Day. So all of these movies are May, June, and July, just to be clear. Okay.
Yeah,
Anything
it'll be fun. We're going to give you some info as we play along so that you'll kind of understand as we, see the evolution of the blockbuster from a business perspective, kind of where does it sit, where do they tend to be coming out. We'll give you some context of each of the years, so we can talk about their other big movies. But yeah, I think this is gonna be really fun. Every single fucking year is a movie you've heard of. It's a real banger. So I think everybody should just play along and enjoy. These are the movies you love watching anyway. You owned them on fucking VHS, you owned them on fucking DVD. Now you probably might buy them on streaming. Let's lean into it. Let's have some fun.
And please tell your friends to listen along. I know that if I were a listener, I would be listening and being like, I want to watch some of these movies. I want to be reminded of some of these movies. Yeah, like even E.T., which is right, that's on the list. Like I've seen E.T. a million times, but it's cool to be like, you know what, that is a summer movie. Let's watch it. Let's rewatch it now, or whatever else is coming up in the future. Back to the Future is going to come up, so it's like, look forward to the summer movies, because I don't know what's coming out here. But fucking Mission Impossible, I watched that trailer for 3 summers, 3 years. I watched that fucking movie right now, and sometimes I just want to stick my middle finger to them and say, I'm going to go ahead and watch Raiders again.
It's going to be fun. The franchise, the face-off, the face-off idea is back.
And the longer it goes, the uglier it gets.
It's true, dude.
And if you're friends with us, watch these movies with us, because we need help getting through them.
Yeah, and of course, write in and fucking tell us to go fuck ourselves.
Please tell us to fuck ourselves.
Every movie we're going to be talking about is somebody's favorite movie. So, feel free to yell at us.
We'll have the phone number where you can call and leave us a message or text us. That's in the show notes on all of our formats. So yeah, drop us a line. Feel free to tell us what you think. Maybe we'll play it on the show.
So
tell us ahead of time.
So what are we doing today, Jeff? What the hell is the point of this episode? We're just gonna.
Well, to tease that's coming up, to keep our episode count in check, we are going to get to our Fast X review. So we'll do, starting now, not forgetting the last 8 minutes happened, but we're essentially going to do probably what our fall segments are going to be like, more so but even in the next couple weeks, if we see a movie that's coming out that's like one of these beautiful indie movies that we think people should see, even if Dave hasn't seen it because he hates
fuck. What the fuck what just happened?
I just short-circuited.
Jeff needs fuel.
I'm a replicant. Is not the highest. Blade Runner is not. I have to get the fuck out of here. Okay, so
Which Blade Runner? There's 7 versions.
Not the one that gave Roger Deakins his first ever Academy Award for cinematography. No, not that one. We are going to, starting now, essentially lay out what a normal episode will be, except we're not going to have our featured longer discussion at the end. So we'll do a little bit of what happened this week. Have you guys seen anything? These are the indie movies we want to promote, and then we'll have our mini review. Pretty tight.
Yeah. Also, for anyone watching on YouTube, I apologize for doing this show naked when Jeff said, let's do a quickie this weekend. I did not understand the assignment.
Jesus Christ. Come on. Oh, fucker. Jesus Christ.
I was wondering why you were so willing and didn't ask any questions. All right, so
not while you have a cold.
I wasn't sure how I was going to go over Zoom.
Let me start. I guess we'll kind of give you a little bit of a recap of some movies that came out this week, since we're not always gonna deep dive into, other than these little reviews we're gonna give at the top. So just to give us a little context for this week, movies that probably opened on the 19th, on Thursday, May 19th, 2023. The ones that made the numbers, the website, the trades that basically docs like all of the business numbers of all the weekends and performances of movies that opened wide enough this week are Fast X, which we're going to be talking about. We have The Master Gardener by Paul Schrader, Joel Edgerton and Sigourney Weaver, film released by Neon called Sanctuary, which looks pretty cool. I really like that actor. What is that guy's name, Jeff? Chris. God damn it! What is his name? Chris Abbott.
Oh, I like Chris Abbott. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I really like Chris Abbott.
Girls, Leave No Trace. Not Leave No Trace. Girls, whatever that movie in the woods was that he was in with Joel.
Comes at Night.
With Joel, right?
It Comes at Night with Joel Edgerton. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Margaret Qualley and Christopher Abbott, directed by Zachary Wigan. We had the one by Paul Schrader, and then we also have something called Moon Garden, which I had not heard of, but directed by Ryan Harris Stevens.
Yeah, if you look closely at the middle column there, that opened in one theater and made $6,000 in that one theater.
Not too shabby.
That's not too shabby
for that. It's pretty great. So those are the ones that opened. Why don't you give you a little idea? Those opened against Fast X, which, if you're releasing movies, you never want to release against something that's going to dominate. But just the climate of movies nowadays.
I see what you did
there. There's always big franchise. Sure. Dominate. There's always big franchises opening. So probably didn't stand a chance against those movies. But a lot of movies like that are definitely worth seeing. So there you go. That's the context for this week. Now we're going to chit chat.
Did anybody see any of these apart from Fast X? Nobody saw any of these at the moment, right?
No, but I am definitely going to see Master Gardener. Oh yeah, Jeff, tell them what you just told us about the Lonely Man. What was that?
So Paul Schrader is like loosely referring to this as his Lonely Man trilogy.
This is Master Gardener.
Yeah. So he had the Card Counter, that Oscar Isaac movie that came out not too long ago. I think it came out during COVID, and then First Reformed, which is the Ethan Hawke.
Okay. Wait. I'm just gonna let's.
The Card Counter came out in 2021. Actually, I was here and I kept seeing the.
Let's just have a quick look at the summary for Master Gardener.
He's also a legend. He was like friends with Scorsese and De Palma way back in the day. Like Paul Schrader is a total legend. But it's funny that these are the movies he wants to make nowadays.
It's like a meticulous horticulturalist who's devoted to tending the grounds of a beautiful state and pandering to his employer, the wealthy dowager.
Wealthy dowager. That sounds awfully Bridgerton-esque.
Yeah.
Dude, if I took my wife to see that, I'd probably be the lonely man.
Oh, come on. No. I will. It's probably not Dave Green's kind of movie.
But it is my wife's.
Can I go back and finish my joke now?
As soon as I saw horticulturalist in the title, I was like, yeah, my wife would drag me to see that like crazy.
Joel Edgerton, so sexy. Jeff, give it up. Finish your joke. Jokes are great when you have to finish the match.
No, this is the one where I was like, if Dave didn't want to see the movie because he didn't want to be a lonely man. I don't know. Get the fuck out of here. Why did you actually?
That was great. I'm glad you. Did that.
You know why I did that? I did that because a couple of weeks ago you cut off Jack in the middle of his Sisu story. That's why I did that.
No, not me. Jeffrey.
I did.
Yeah.
Guys, Jack talked in two different timbres. He had one really high pitch up here, and then he really dropped down at this point. Yeah. Then he was up here. My parents asked me if there were not my parents. Other people I know asked me if there were two different actors.
Yeah, British people's balls drop in their 30s. So,
Dave, this is John's brother-in-law.
He has the voices. Let's fucking do it, Dave. You and I saw it.
We did.
I'm very proud to say Fast X.
All right, let's get this out of our systems just quickly. We want to talk just a little briefly about Fast X.
And let's give everyone who wasn't listening last time, I am a shameless guilty. This is probably one of my favorite guilty pleasure recent franchises. Everyone may be aware that it started roughly 20 years ago, 2001 with the first. It was 2001, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. So they've been going basically 22-ish years now. It's the 10th one in the franchise. A lot of actors, familiar faces exploded because of it, came out of it, and we still rely on this franchise to support their careers.
Dude, in those movies, everything fucking exploded.
Sure. Some famous directors like Justin Lin really put their flag in the sand with this franchise and have ended up doing other things as well.
Did you say there was a writing credit for him on this too?
I think he has a story credit on this one, but let's look it up just to
Who does?
Justin Lin. He had the one last time. He had 9 for sure. And he had story credits, I think, for 5, 6, 7. But he does not have a story. He does have a writer's credit on this one. So he's still involved. But Louis Leterrier, the French director, fucking rocked this one. This is Fast X. This is the 10th one.
Funny thing I read on Twitter, and I looked it up the other day. He joined that production 3 days before they started shooting.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little story about that because I was lucky enough to see this one. Did he drop out?
Yeah. I listened to a different podcast, and they are a podcast of note, and they said he did. Now, I don't know if they said he dropped out 3 days before. They certainly. I don't want to be too conspiratorial.
Yeah, I think it was like a month before.
Vin and him.
Yeah,
not getting along. Yeah.
Who was not getting along?
Vin and Justin Lin. Yeah, apparently. I don't want to spread too many rumors, but apparently there could be other things involved too. But yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. You never know with that stuff.
But this is from a very reputable source that came out. A very public source. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I got to see this at a special screening at school, and Neil Moritz, who's one of the main producers, he's been a part of every single one of these. This is like his baby. So he's like shepherded this franchise. He made SWAT. He made a few other things along the way, but household name kind of massive movies. Very successful man. And he was speaking about this to us, and he mentioned that, for whatever reason, Justin Lin and whoever the other, he stepped out, and right before, no prep, jumped right in. He said that they did not miss a single day of production.
Wow.
They had already been shooting, actually. They had just started, and it happened. And he said they did not miss a day. So I thought that was really fantastic. But let's just start just gently. Dave, I guess I was setting that up to kind of make fun of the fact that I am team Fast and the Furious. I don't think my co-hosts like these movies as much as I do. But I am curious because we all did.
I did. Last one.
Sure. We all were disappointed with 9. And I don't think we were alone. So I'm curious, Dave, did Fast X redeem itself at all in your mind, or do you still feel like it's still not for you?
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
You're right. Fast 9. It was one of those ones where you sit there and go, "Oh, fucking come on!" at the screen constantly.
The
it was
helped me.
They got
but not by much.
They got ridiculous. Fast X. I don't know what the fuck happened between like 9 and 10, but this is what they were looking for. Like this is the best Fast and Furious movie I have ever seen.
Whoa!
Oh wow!
Jesus,
David.
That's fair.
It's gushing.
And like the fact that it's a 2, possibly 3-parter. Like, yeah, I'm pissed about that, but I want to.
They've never done that before.
No, they've never done that before, and yeah, I'm very interested to see where it goes. I can't wait. It's like when one of the Marvel movies or something does it. Or when whatever. I can't wait for the next one. I walked out of that thoroughly entertained. Very rarely was I like, oh, come on, like they pushed it too far. There was like 1 or 2 moments where they had just had to up it to that point. I will say Jason Momoa reminded me of fucking Mission Impossible 3's villain.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman. His performance reminded me of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and just he became Fast and Furious as Joker.
Yeah. I wanted to comment on that for sure. Finish your review though, and then I'll give my little
like hands down. This is the best Fast and Furious movie I've ever seen. That is my review. There is the review.
I don't know if it's, I for sure feel that they redeemed themselves. I took Elizabeth. We have a great theater. It was cool hearing Neil Moritz speak afterwards, but generally speaking, she said afterwards, she was like, I liked that. She had not seen any of them, and she was like, I was entertained. It was fun. Granted, Jason Momoa is her number 2. Sorry, Elizabeth, I'm calling you out. Number 2 on the list. What does that say about me, you guys?
Yeah.
These fucking huge dudes, man. You gotta get to the gym, man. Creatine over to that apartment right away.
I think I've called her out. Sorry, Elizabeth, this is all about you. I think I've called her out before, because I think when we were talking about a Marvel movie, I told you guys that Chris Hemsworth is her number 1. So she had a good time at this movie, partially because Jason Momoa was having, Jeff, I thought about you the whole time I was watching this, and you're going to go and you're going to watch this and you're going to think about this, because I know you. Nobody had more fun than Jason Momoa on this.
God, yeah.
He had a blast. Whether it was intense and not over the like melodramatic at all, there weren't too many of those moments. But whether he was like doing stunts, they let him really ride around Rome on his fucking motorcycle because he's an expert motorcycle rider. They let him do a lot of that himself, so they had to reshoot. They had to change the way they were going to shoot it because he wanted to do that. He definitely had fun in scene work, just having a real blast with finding the humor, finding the absurdity of playing a master villain that way. His costumes were ridiculous, and
flamboyant. I would
what
say,
they did to his hair, and very flamboyant.
He was like, that was the fun thing. It was like he's a villain that is like a Bond level villain, almost like what he is in this case. Like he blows up so much shit, but he's also completely sexually ambiguous, and I feel like that's what they've gone for in Bond a couple of years ago and fucked it up. This hits it right on the head. Because they don't go over the top about it, and at some points he's nice, and then he just turns on a dime, and it's phenomenal performance from Momoa.
We may have spoiled a little bit of the ending so far, so I don't want to spoil too much, but the way that they opened this movie, it worked for a fan who has loved the movies without telling you what they reference at the beginning of this to establish Jason Momoa's character. But it also worked for somebody like Elizabeth who was like, do I need to have seen any of these? What the hell? What do I need to know? And I was like, don't worry about it. They'll take care of that.
Yeah.
The way they wrap you up into this, they know what they're doing. They touched on maybe the best movie they've made so far, which is my favorite one, without telling you which one it is, to establish who Jason Momoa is. So it launches you into a context that actually has story, backstory, and emotional circumstance baked into it. So you don't feel like it's kind of coming out of the blue the way that maybe they did last time with Dama as a brother. Where did that come from? Without giving anything away, because we're navigating this for the first time, folks. Sorry, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but one of the worst aspects of 9, the fact that Dom has a brother, ends up being one of the most endearing parts about this movie. Yeah. And they knew it, and they addressed it. Yeah. And I think they ended up fixing it in a really fun, heartwarming, charming way. It worked for me, Dave. I don't know if that worked for you. And folks, you'll know what we're talking about when you see
I mean, they split the team into 3 and had 3 consecutive storylines running. And that storyline was a highlight. Because we're allowed to mention who it is, right? Everyone knows who plays the brother, right? Yeah. So John Cena. Anytime you put him out in an element that you wouldn't normally picture him in, he's so good at playing the I'm awkward but I don't know it character, and it just works for him and makes him so endearing, and it just builds on that character phenomenally. Yeah. So I know we're not trying to make these too long. I'll wrap it up just telling you this because I thought this was so charming. This guy, this producer, who just gave me like real like rock star Hollywood producer vibes, like real kind of badass guy vibes. He said they literally, just like I watched a bunch of recent background BTS behind the scenes stuff for Mission Impossibles recently, and I heard that Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise were doing this as well. So you didn't have a choice, dude. They were making you sit through it in the fucking theater now. Oh, come on. Neil Moritz and the directors, he said they do this as well. Who are the main decision makers for story in Fast and the Furious? They start with their big action set pieces.
and McQuarrie and Tom Cruise do this too. They start with these really fun ideas for, wouldn't this be awesome? Literally just saying that. And then they build story around them, which, whether or not you agree with that, maybe that's something that you dislike about. I thought that was funny.
Sounds scary.
He said they literally sit in a conference room and they all have little Hot Wheels cars. And
Get
they literally
the fuck out of here.
Just like play with them. And they're like, what if it did this? He said they
Pay
literally
your
just sit
writers
down.
more. I'm kidding.
And then once they have the set pieces, then they hand it and they hire their writers and they let Justin and them create story, and then they hire writers to fill out the screenplay. But
okay, John said no. Really they hire writers and then they hire writers and then they hire writers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, go see it.
This movie written by Hot Wheels.
Come on. I really enjoyed it. I think the gang is back, baby. They're not giving up on this. It's ridiculous. It is absurd.
Why did they wait till 10 to do the best fucking one?
Come on.
Guys, I heard another podcaster.
I'm gonna give Neil Moritz a little credit, because he said this kind of flippantly said this, but I thought this may have been why 9. He took a break on 9 for whatever reason. He didn't take part in 9, and he said,
So they went to space in a scuba suit.
He said, I vetoed going to space, but nobody listened to me, and I ended up not being a part of that production. So,
yeah.
Honestly, it sounds like maybe some different people were making decisions at the time. The guy who was there from the very beginning maybe wasn't in the room for the entire movie, and somebody said, let's go to space. And that didn't work out. And
it's funny because if you're working on the next one, you're like, how do I come back from that? And this is how you come back from that. Like, this was fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's our mini review. Go see it.
John, is it 4, 5, or 7? Because 1's great. Don't say Tokyo Drift. So 5, yeah.
5.
Yeah, for sure.
It's 5.
For sure.
Fast 5 is the best.
Fast 5 is great. Is that the first one The Rock's in? It is, right?
It is, and
it's good.
That's another reason why you're going to like this movie. I love
the Rock's turn is great, because that's the heist one, right, where they steal the safe. Oh god, it's so fucking good. And then he's like, I'll give you an hour. What does he give him? He gives him like, fuck it doesn't matter. This movie 54 Rotten Tomatoes with an 86 audience score, so you gotta love that. You gotta look at that, because I heard a podcaster call this an abomination. And
yeah,
and just he said the words, what are we doing, like 4 times. He's like, what are we doing? He said it so many times, and I was like, immediately just go, fuck this guy. Oh, now I wish I saw it.
What you're doing is obviously like popping something and sitting in front of a mic for about an hour.
You're making the 10th fast.
Right.
Come on, this is exactly what they're doing.
That's the thing. You go and see number 10, you expect tripe after number 9, and you get something that's actually very nuanced and good.
Jason X versus Fast X.
Oh my god.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, come on.
We're not doing it again.
You're into that.
the best 10th movies of all time. We should make a list.
The best 10th.
$67.5 million
That's
opening.
A Matt and Mark. Yeah. That's a Matt and Mark face-off right there.
Let's go. We should have him back on.
Come on, Matt and Mark. Do it, dude.
Mark and Matt, let's go. 67.5 million is not a great number for them, but it's good enough to get them at least 2 more if they want, because it's a huge franchise IP. We'll see what happens.
The second one's already
Memorial
being
Day
made.
next week.
That's definitely happening.
We'll see what happens during Memorial Day weekend, but numbers are a little bit of a dip compared to some of the, like 7 obviously was huge, the Paul Walker one, and then 8 and 7 was Paul Walker.
I mean, after 9 you'd have to expect a dip. But I feel like word of mouth after week 1.
Was it 8? Was Paul Walker was 8?
No, when he left,
it was 7. It was 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah, 7. The fate of the it was different. Okay,
so
anyway.
So emotional when the cars go the other way, dude. It's
and then they fly off into the air like grease.
Honestly, God, it's so good, dude. It gets me, dude. All right, that's it, folks. That's our short little teaser episode. So imagine in the future, starting next week, where we're going to do that probably tighter, talk about a new movie that we saw, if we saw anything that week, and then we're going to move into this new blockbuster face-off thing. It's going to be really fun. So please tune back in and join us. We're going to have a great time. We're recording these back to back. So I'm tipsy, you guys. How are you guys feeling?
I got a little buzz going.
A big shot.
My drink hit me right when I was trying to make that joke on Dave. That's why I completely
I took
blacked
over.
out for a second. That's when Dave took over.
Join us for a hilarious conversation on Empire Strikes Back versus Raiders of the Lost Ark. God, it's going to be fun.
And E.T. versus Jedi.
Yeah.
We're just going to be talking about 4 casually fucking the greatest fucking summer blockbuster movies of all time. Let's go! I got my fucking magazine right here. Let's go! Indie! Guys, these indie reviews, the first reviews are not great for the new indie movie, but you know, what do you want? Everybody's a grandpa now.
I've only seen good ones.
Cool. It has 50% Rotten Tomatoes, 30 reviews, 15 for
Let's sign off. I want to keep talking about it in the next episode.
Yeah.
People, we'll see you next week. We'll give you our recommendations for the week. We'll give you all that shit next time. Join us this summer. Tell your friends. Watch movies. Reach out to us. Give us some shit. We can't wait to give it right back. Let's fucking go.
Get fucking real.